Hi, I'm Eloise.
And I'm B. And we're B and Eloise's guest star show. And our guest today is Lucas Allen, who is a photographer from Australia. Ta-da!
Hi.
So,
Hi,
Lucas,
guys.
thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. It's very early here in Australia. What time is it in Canada?
Like 6:10.
Okay. Well, that's pretty normal.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question. What type of photographer are you?
I am what's called a commercial photographer, which is someone who does advertising and travel and shoots for magazines and that sort of thing.
Cool. Anything else you'd like to add to that question, or can we move on?
Sure. So I specialize in, I've done a lot of different photography over the many years. I've been a photographer now for 26 years.
Wow.
And I started off doing a bit of everything, but then I ended up doing fashion photography and then interiors photography. And then when I moved to New York, I started to specialize more in doing interiors. And so now I travel a lot and I photograph a lot of hotels and interiors for designers. And then I shoot what's called lifestyle photography, which is like shooting models and people on location in different interesting places.
Cool. Okay, thank you. Eloise, next question, please.
Um, what is your favorite thing to photograph?
I love shooting people in every different way. So a lot of the time I'm photographing rooms and just rooms, but I actually really love it when I need to photograph a person in the room or outside or something like that. So people is my favorite.
Okay. Anything else to add, or second question?
Well,
Question.
the reason why I like shooting people is that it feels a bit more of a combination between what the person is giving you and what you're accepting from them. So it's more of an exchange, you see. So there's a lot more about the conversation that you have with the person when you're in the process of taking the photograph, and also thinking about how they'll look the best, or even if it's not about making them look the best, but looking the way that you're hoping to portray them. So if they're very sort of like intelligent or very sort of cerebral kind of person, you want to photograph them in a certain way. And if they're a really fun-loving, colorful kind of extroverted personality, you may want to show them in that way as well. So you have to think about how the image will show them as a person.
Interesting. Cool. Next question. Does COVID-19 affect your job in any way, and how?
It has affected my job very much, actually. I'll give you an example. In April, end of March, early April of this year, I was booked to fly to Texas, Florida, Buenos Aires, which is in Argentina, and New York, and to shoot about 6 different shoots for an interior designer, for hotels. And COVID-19 hit, and all of that work was cancelled.
That's a bummer.
Affected me very much, yes. And so it's hard also because a lot of my work is not in the studio. Most of my photography is out, in public and in the environment. I can't really do that because we all have to stay at home. So yeah, it's been tricky.
Okay, last question, Eloise.
Why did you choose that career path?
Good question. Well, when I was young, so I'm talking 15, maybe 14 or 15, I was in high school. I took up photography as my art project. And back in those days, it was all about being in the dark room and processing the film with chemicals and using the enlarger and making photographs in the traditional way. So we didn't have digital photography then. Nothing, everything was in the old analog way with rolls of film and all that, which you'd be familiar with. And I just loved that, the magic of that. And so my dad was a graphic designer and he used photographers in his work. And a graphic designer is someone who puts together brochures or designs logos for companies and that sort of thing. And so I saw him using photographers for his work, and I thought that seems like such a good thing to do. So I did some work experience with a photographer and loved the experience and decided this is a cool job. I want to do this for a job, and that was it. And so that's pretty much how I decided. I just did it. Through doing it, I realized how much I loved it, and I just kept doing it and have
Cool.
never done anything else.
Cool. Well, this is kind of a bonus question that I just thought of. Since you're a photographer, are you very good at taking selfies or just around the house photos?
Unfortunately, I don't have a good face for selfies. So, I wouldn't say I'm good at taking selfies, but I can take a pretty decent shot around the house. I think my wife's actually better at taking more casual photographs around the house. But if you would like me to supply you with one, I can do that. But you might break your computer screens if I send you a selfie.
Okay, well, thank you for being on the show and taking the time to talk about your job.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Eloise and B. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.